Another element of these startups are the fact that they are the first cohort that were begun and developed either within or in the shadow of 1871. In 1871, you guys, if you haven't heard about it before, you will a lot today. It's really the epicenter of digital and technology startups here in Chicago. It's where they really nurture not just the idea, but also the entrepreneur and the team. So if you're an individual who wants to work at a startup here in Chicago, you just go to 1871. It's like a mecca. You just go there, and there are people just roaming the halls saying, hey, do you want to work on this project? Do you want to work on that project? And there's great mentors, and it's just a place to go where ideas are happening. And that is something that we haven't seen here. Well, really, I hadn't seen it at all. It wasn't here when I was building GrubHub. And when you think about innovation, innovation isn't new to Chicago. Chicago has a long history of both inventing products and businesses. If you think about some of the things, and I looked this up last night, the products that were invented in Chicago, the steel plow, right? The Ferris wheel, the Twinkie, our favorite Twinkie, and of course the lava lamp. I didn't know that was kind of exciting. When you think about more technology type products, both the LED and the plasma displays were invented in Chicago, as well as the cell phone, and of course the historic Mosaic browser. So while Al Gore may have been the one that invented the internet, I'm going to say that Chicago was the one that really invented the World Wide Web. Is it going to hold together a little bit? But also companies. You think about the companies in Chicago has been known for historically, and it's companies that are solving real problems in the marketplace, solving real issues for consumers, making their lives easier, better. Companies like Montgomery Ward going way back, the original mail order, but you got McDonald's, and for all the detractions on McDonald's, they really brought to the world a new era of fast and quality food. You have Walgreens, the concept of a scalable corner store, and then you move forward, you have Motorola, obviously brought tremendous innovations to the public. You have Groupon. Groupon's done wonderful things for small businesses across the world, and of course you have everyone's favorite online and mobile takeout and food delivery service, GrubHub. When I think about when I founded GrubHub, I think about, and I kind of relate it to the time period we're in now. I think about a few key stories I want to share with you. The first is, in our first few years, I signed and broke 3 corporate real estate contracts. So if you guys have ever participated in the corporate real estate cycle, it's significant brain damage. So just finding a place, negotiating a contract, signing a contract, and they all are 10-year contracts, or at least they were when I was doing it. And of course there's massive penalties when you quit. So I paid almost $1 million in the first few years of GrubHub, having to break these contracts because the corporate real estate cycle does not align whatsoever with a hyper-growth startup mentality and the fact that you just need to hire a lot of people and have more space. So that was a cost of doing business for me. And if I would have founded GrubHub in the last few years, I would have rented a desk at 1871. I would have rented 5 desks, 10 desks. And then by the time I needed to sign that first lease, I would have known that I needed 60,000 square foot, because I would have known I needed a significant care organization. I wouldn't have had to do that trial and error. That would have been significant savings for my business. I think it would have accelerated our pathway by years. A couple other things I want to point out. When I was founding GrubHub, I was all over Craigslist. I was looking for people who were intelligent, flexible problem solvers. People who were looking around for that next job. They didn't really know they wanted to be at a startup because there weren't really startups around, but I had to find them, and I had to put a lot of ads that were very different and read through all the responses and figure out, yeah, that's a person I need on my team. Now, from the desk I'm renting at 1871, I would have walked around the halls and I would have said, hey, here's what I'm doing. Who wants to join me? And within a week, I would have had an entire startup team. No questions. And the third, which you guys are going to find hysterical, I hope, is, because I didn't, I found it very painful. It took me 18 months to close my seed round, right? Like, I mean, it's such an obvious idea, literally. 18 months, and I'm not saying that was a lack of capital. I mean, didn't know what I was doing, to be honest. And so there was a lot of trial and error. But I was talking early stage folks, late stage folks, mid stage. Everyone would know kind of what was going on, but there wasn't really a clear queue of individuals that would be lined up and ready to go with a presentation or ready to invest behind a good idea. Now, from the desk I'm renting with the team I just recruited, what happens in 1871 is you have seed stage VCs, people who want to meet these teams, are supporting that environment by renting spaces there. So I would go from my desk after I recruited my team and walk into these offices saying, hey, here's what I'm doing, here's what it is, and by the way, this way the VCs have an early perspective into these companies as they're growing and recruiting, so it makes the entire process a lot easier. And so I just think about the opportunities that the startups, the folks, the entrepreneurs in Chicago have now that I didn't have 10 years ago, and it's really astounding.